So, anyhow, I am actually waiting for, well, yeah, that's kind of weird. Anyway, today's kind of a bit of a somber day. I don't really want to give much to the, somberness, mostly because I'm right now dealing with a very, serious issue with my cat, so I am not at all. Oh, something to do. Here we go, people. Yeah. This group is pretty much know what the frick they're doing. Nice. I'm actually really good at this. I might be switching to Twitch sooner or later. I don't know if it'll be this year or not. By the end of this year, I probably will be switching to Twitch to make the channel a little more history of and wanting to do it involves discussing the history of conventions, why the conventions act the way they do, why we have sci-fi fantasy rules that seem draconian to some people, but actually apparently not draconian anymore. FYI, that isn't coming until later on. I think near November when I finish this next episode. Pilot was just the idea of me just playing with the concept of whether or not to discuss what sci-fi fantasy was like back in the early 70s and what we have now in the 21st century. Guy alive. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I am very impressed with some coverage of history that I am working on. conventions in itself have a very small history, and some of it is not as well diverse as you might think. The first World Sci-Fi Convention was actually in 1949 as part of the World's Fair, and unfortunately, it had a very lackluster guest, aside from the fact that Isaac Asimov was part of the chairman of that meeting. It was mostly young men. There were very few women that were in that group, which is kind of sad. For those of you who are sci-fi fans who know about what is known as the Boys Only Club, which is basically what I coined the Boys Only Club, is the sexism that still presents predominantly in very different groups of sci-fi communities. This is groups that just don't want the acknowledgement that sci-fi writers have attained in the last, I don't know, 10 years. Notoriety of say, Mary Shelley, or Marcy Blackie, those actors and actresses that have become part of the sci-fi variety. Considering that Evolve, now Star Trek actually became one of the few people in sci-fi that still predominantly her network actually was the one that sponsored the science, which is something I don't really discuss, is that she did really did say a lot about what she did. Many people don't realize that Anne McCaffrey and many others have been part of the fantasy and sci-fi genre for decades, and most of the time, if you have not paid attention to the science fiction fantasy community, there has always been that desire to keep the girls out and the boys in. I don't think it has a lot to do with sexism. I think it has a lot to do with fear that what sci-fi has to offer. Predominantly, I think even Huxley from Brave New World had a huge amount of fear of the form of predominantly because the sci-fi community in that time period did not get much training. We're looking at a community of nerds that probably did not want that, say, Michelle Nichols was probably the first to actually show that female characters had a pivotal role in the sci-fi genre that was more than the damsel in distress. I mean, to be honest, I don't think Aurora was ever really truly in danger, and she usually acted as a communication for linguistic skills, which if you've seen Undiscovered Country, where she attempts to learn Klingon pretty ad hoc. That is actually for me, was pretty much what sci-fi was to me as a child. I was absolutely loved Aurora as a character. And for a sci-fi nerd, that's pretty much what I was led to believe until I saw Princess Leia for the first time. And I was only about 6 or 7 when I really took her character seriously. And that's pretty sad when you think about it. because everyone always talks about the damsel in distress type. Female characters that are hardlined to actually not need to be rescued is pretty, has not been, one of the most, lucrative cast, calls in this country. Especially in the US, because, again, it is that ultimate fear of female superiority type complex, which is kind of dumb, considering, you have, out of most sci-fi I've noticed is a huge amount of female authors. And I think that's, brought on the fact that people are recognizing that Mary Shelley did a lot of her own work, and also she wrote a sci-fi novel, she wrote a horror sci-fi science fiction novel. She was the first to actually do the horror sci-fi character development issues. One of the biggest causes anyone has ever seen is probably what was considered. I was probably in that discussion. I would love to have a discussion with people about the entire science fiction genre of what was expected in American science fiction communities. The United States has a huge history of ignoring female fans, and that's a really dangerous issue in the fantasy sci-fi world, because it means that the female fans don't get that many. That's when you realize you have the movement called cosplay is not consent. Think about that in the sense of when you actually see cosplay is not consent being actually considered a thing. I remember that being a thing as a child because of the reasoning behind it. Back in the day, back when I was really going to conventions, there wasn't really a cosplay is not consent. That is pretty much part of the birth of the science fiction, fantasy, genre of explanations that were desperately needed. And most people don't really remember those times because, gosh, that was so long ago. I cannot recall a time where cosplay is not consent was not considered as important as, say, the anti-harassment clause that was brought about because of a certain sci-fi writer who couldn't keep his mitts off girls. And if you saw my previous video discussing him, yes, Isaac Asimov did write in a letter of apology with that. I think mostly because it was a side effect of the fact that he was taken off the board of directors of World Sci-Fi Con, and that it affected a lot of the female fans who feel disenfranchised from the fan base. And I think he took that as a wake-up call to himself that he should not be performing these kind of actions anymore, even though he was considered a dirty old man in the first place. But again, he did not, I don't think it is wrong to say that what he did was, I think it is wrong to say what he did not happen. He did do it, and World Sci-Fi Conventions, World Sci-Fi Con actually, heralded it. I think the only guest, for World Sci-Fi Con that I absolutely think had a lot of influence was William Shatner and his visit to Hong Kong. The first time that was way back. No, it was his visit to Tokyo. World Sci-Fi Con had a big Tokyo Con to to the Tokyo event early on, and William Shatner was one of the bigger names that showed up. And one of the things is he put a bit of a face to the convention that was a little more positive, but I'm not going to defend some of his later actions and his autism stuff, because that's just going to be fire. Even he said himself that he does not like the fact that he's being considered an ableist in his own right. I think it's more of the fact that he's educated, and also the fact that one of his own relatives does have autism, and there's a lot of things he doesn't know. And I think it's more the fact that he does not understand it. It's not that he doesn't like it. It doesn't mean anything. It means that he does not understand it to the point that we can make a definitive judgment on all that would be like. I mean, he has not, as a science fiction nerd, actually understood the gravity of what he has to say. That's just him. I personally don't really like the man that much, but the one science fiction guru that I have enjoyed over the years with his antics has always been Jim Butcher. And Jim Butcher, for a writer, is extremely nice. Yes, I have met him. He is freaking funny as hell. He does not pretend to be know-it-all. He does not pretend to be he does not pretend anything. He does want everybody to understand that science fiction and fantasy is a genre that needs to get its history back. And America is one of the few countries where cons like WesterCon and other conventions cannot always survive the way you think it will. Our fantasy conventions, even since COVID, have gotten much better about the mask mandates for certain conventions have been slightly draconian. I think I will harken to Non-Dasicon, but I think Non-Dasicon was more safety conscious this time around. I think that they are aware that they did overstep with the judgment they made toward one of their the people that could not get the had a good reason not to get the vaccine because he can't. And it is more the fact that it was a issue of health decisions. I am not going to mention his name. I am going to say I support the man's decision because his decision was actually legit. He did have a legitimate reason. He had to go with what his doctor had said. His doctor told him, do not take that vaccine because it could have an effect on his heart. And honestly, people, what do you believe? Your doctor, when he tells you do not take a vaccine because it hurts, it may stand to hurting you. Until there is more research on the vaccines, some people with those heart conditions cannot take those vaccines. So that is a good thing to take into account with convention season drawing its close early in some cases in November. I'm going to mention that yes, I am going to about 3 different events this year. One is a free event down at the Denver Tech, not the Denver Tech Center, the Denver Complex down Convention Center. And I am not going to be mean about anything when I tell you the reason why I do not, the reason why I'm not being like hyper vigilant about my health at the moment is I've already been through enough health scares for the last 3 years. Now, I do have medical concerns, and some of them are absolutely frightening as hell. Let's start with, I went through 2 different surgeries, and these surgeries actually could have resulted in a health crisis. I could have ended in a health crisis that would have been really, really bad. Now, if you are anywhere in the United States, I am going to mention to you that the United States does not understand a lot of the times. They do not read up on a lot of things. I am going to mention that in this panel of discussion. If you have not ever been to a convention, if you have never actually seen what it is like at a convention, especially if you have a health concern, most people do not consider it bad to be a little of the paranoia issue. I will mention that I went to a convention at one time where I was working that convention, and there was a time, I will tell you, that the restaurant at IKEA would have been a preferable place for line control. That's just my opinion. Going to a restaurant at IKEA is probably completely different in each country. If I were to describe, say, some of the things I've been through in college, I would probably say one of the few people I have never understood are the people who do not follow the rule of please do not follow me around the con. I have been followed to conventions by people who I do not know, and some of them are people who become my friends, but then there are those who I quite frankly do not understand what their obsession is with telling girls how to dress, how to be sexual. I had a guy do that once to my sister, and that was kind of gross. One of the stories I can talk about with my sister about her modeling years was actually something she had told me when she was modeling at Focus on the Family in, let's say, Colorado Springs. Again, this was the early 90s, and there are a lot of things I could say about it. And some of it was overt. And I don't think it's that overt sexual behavior. I think it's the overt, stereotypical sexuality thing where you are a girl, you're supposed to dress a certain way. Or, you're a girl, your mother is the one who's supposed to tell you what to do. And you're hearing parents kinda, that whole frowning on your daughter doing something, considering that your daughter could probably do a lot worse. I went to a convention where my friend's daughter was literally followed around by some guy in his 40s who probably should have thought about, I don't know, wearing a fucking, I don't know, chastity belt or something. I don't know, because the guy was a fucking asshole. And he thought my sister was probably I never could understand people like that. It is a dumb move on some people's part when you look at, like, cosplay is not consent and its history. I actually had to teach my sister about cosplay is not consent. Now, again, back in the 1990s, a lot of there was a different point of view on it. Many guys didn't like the girls doing that kind of thing, where the girls could just walk into a convention and go, ooh, ah, look at me, I'm dressed in sexy costumes. My mother actually, quite frankly, thought it was quite comical to, hear a guy yell, yes. Oh. Alright. Okay, I just heard that something about my cat. So, I will be coming back to this after... yeah. If you ever want to know about the history of cosplay as not consent, it is relatively new, but I think it's about a build-off of the, anti-harassment clauses that started to appear in the 90s. Mostly, we have Isaac Asimov and egg for those, but again, that is a sort of sarcasm on my part, and most people in this country don't, in the United States, do that. If you are from another country, I do. You probably have a different aspect of the cosplay consent rules at your convention in your country. It all depends on what country you're in. I mean, I was in Europe I've never been to Europe, actually. I have friends in Europe, and I have friends that will tell me about I know in China and Japan. Alright. So, I'm just gonna mention to you, the 1990s, back when I was a kid, the United States had a very interesting, view on science fiction and fantasy. If you've ever watched The Simpsons, please be aware that, yes, that stereotype still exists. Yes, the big fat man from, The Simpsons is actually built off that kind of characterization. Why they do that, I never could figure that one out. Honestly, back when I was in high school, I did not live in my parents' basement. I lived in a bedroom that actually was pink and had Sailor Moon posters all over the damn place. So yeah, that was a pretty funny time of our life. And pretty much video gaming and movies were all I actually could get into. My mother actually had to explain to people that I was not into. Okay, one of the funniest things I remember being told, and my mother told this story, and it was funny, is a girl in my class actually got me Lisa Frank stuff after she got told about 3 times, do not get me. It actually did go that bad in my childhood that they actually said, do not give Nagi Lisa Frank. What did one stupid girl in my high school do? I still laugh my ass off at this poor girl. She meant well, I think. I think she meant well, but I really didn't like that. But, I think it was that whole stereotyping. But also people found out later I really hated Lisa Frank. I didn't like the artwork. I didn't like the, overly bright saturation of color. It was just an artist's nightmare. My parents actually were thankful when I actually threw out a friend's gift because of the Lisa Frank colorization of the unicorn just sickened me so badly. I gave it to my sister for maybe 30 seconds and then realized my little sis did not like it either. So, thanks, to the memory of my sister. You are a frickin' genius, dear. I am forever in your debt for the, actually telling one of your friends, do not buy Lisa Frank. Because Nagi will probably not like it, and probably have a fucking fit. Excuse the language. I actually wanted to die the first time I ever got a Lisa Frank toy out of my parents. I think the funniest thing is I gave it to one of my friends named Angel, and even she did not like it. She actually thought it was really ugly, and I laughed because I don't know who gave it to me. It was just something that was given to me in high school by a girl who thought I would have liked it. And I think she probably did not understand that whole concept of do not get something for somebody if you do not know what they like. Ask them what they like. And then I found out some pretty nasty history about the creator of Lisa Frank. not a very nice person, and honestly, if you do support her, please buy something better than, because she is basically stealing from our Native Americans and just basically destroying art in general. I know it may seem hideous to some people, but if you are a person growing to enjoy artwork, you really should think about buying something else that may be a little more practical for your taste. Just an FYI on that one. If you have high school kids who love Lisa Frank, tell them about Sanrio, or tell them about companies that actually help other artists get noticed. Sanrio is one of my favorites. If it wasn't for Sanrio, I would probably have hated Japanese anime. And I absolutely love anime. I also say that about Star Wars. Star Wars is the reason I gave anime a chance. Ralph Bakshi was also the reason I gave anime a chance, because it was outside animation. It was not Bugs Bunny and you know. I will mention that. Well, I do not like people who badmouth animation that is not as good as, say, Warner Brothers. But the thing is with Warner Brothers is I actually found a lot of the older Warner Brothers quite distasteful. I did not like their rendering of certain characters. Speedy Gonzalez being one of them, because I originally liked him as a character. But when I found out it was a stereotype for Hispanic people, I was really shocked and very grotesquely sickened by it. Even though many Hispanic people actually like it, like our wonderful comedian Iglesias, a Fluffy did the voice of Speedy in the let me remind you though that in truth, if I do come off as a little bit of a tangent on things, there are pieces of artwork that I do want to mention that I absolutely adore, and that is definitely Sanrio, Agretzko, and a bunch of others. But I do want to mention to people, there are animations out there that are not just outsider animation. If you ever heard the term outsider animation, it's mostly animation that is not mainstreamed. I actually like Japanese anime that is not mainstream. I am a huge fan of Trigger. I'm a huge fan of the most animes that do not end up on CN or Cartoon Network on their Adult Swim line. I do not actually watch a lot of Adult Swim. I barely can handle Rick and Morty, which is kind of pathetic, really. I cannot handle Rick and Morty, yet I can sit through Lower Decks and laugh my butt off. If you at all get like Paramount Plus, definitely watch. I think it's mostly, the humor. American animation has some pretty good humor to it, but a lot of that humor is totally gone now, and that sucks, because there's a lot of animators that really should be a lot more respected, and they're not. I am just pointing this out. There are some animators in the United States that do a lot of really good stuff. Ralph Bakshi being one of them. If you've ever watched American Pop, Fritz the Cat, I think one of my favorites is American Pop, which actually has a very good history of rock and roll in it, and it's set to the eyes of a Jewish immigrant family. So I really do want people to actually watch it and actually get the fact that it's not your usual animation. Animation in its general form does not conform to the fact that it should be for adults or kids, for that matter. That is the one thing I like about Ralph, is he does not cater to just children. he caters to the adults in the group. My parents absolutely cannot. My mother literally told a animator once that I told a friend of mine once that I am not. I actually had to tell somebody once I was not a fan of Bugs Bunny, and I hate to tell people that. I do like Terry Toon. I like the old school stuff like that, but I do not like racist caricatures. My parents absolutely were floored when I said that. I do not like racist caricatures of characters. And honestly, I think one of the biggest racist characters I've ever seen was actually from Bleach. And I do apologize to the Japanese on that one. Bleach I didn't like, mostly because I didn't like fighting. Fighting anime for me has always been slightly offending, because people always talk about how offending it is to... I just cannot handle fighting anime. If you are into that kind of anime, I do say I do apologize. Fighting for me is not a taste to my taste. I do like... I think I like Star Wars style of fighting. I just don't like fighting in general, because every time I have ever had to deal with anime that was for fighting, I kind of just lose my interest, because it's just all the same and it doesn't have a plot to me. I do like one of my friends was into Dragon Ball Z, which fucking irritated the frick out of me. Anyway, I was going to mention to many of you, Star Wars Visions has just come out. I have not reviewed it yet, so I'm not going to talk about it. The other tangent I could go on is the history of one of our science fiction conventions here in Colorado, which is StarFest, which actually prompted a convention called StarCon. If you don't mind, I have a bit of an allergy attack. It's been attacking my throat all day, so if people have asked if I can't handle talking for long periods, it's because of that. Also, FYI, if I am moving on to Twitch, maybe around November, as soon as I can get my account reinstated and get everything recombobulated for it. My schedules are based off my work schedule. I will not be on October 2nd or October 3rd. I will be out of the area. I will be at an event downtown and also in the tech center of Denver. I am also going to be out of the area in November. I will be streaming part of November, and the stream schedule will be announced later on as the time gets closer. I am also going to be out of town come next year. There is a vacation time coming up, and I will announce that later. FYI, to those who don't know, I am part of a group on another anime forum called, if you are ever in it, I am on Anime Colorado, and I am also in I will be building a Discord group for those who want to talk to me and discuss the new channel options of the new panel ideas that are going to be open for everybody. This includes movies, books, I do have a Reddit. I don't really like using Reddit very often, but if you want to discuss stuff with me on Reddit, most of the stuff I discuss on Reddit are book reviews, movie reviews. I went into the Halloween franchise a while back and reviewed it in contents of Van Helsing, which is not one of my favorites, with werewolves in it. I prefer movies with books like, I am a very huge fan of like sci-fi. I actually enjoy movies with a lot of really good heavy plots. I enjoy books like most people don't really get it when I actually tell them I'm into magic and science fiction. I prefer books like I really like books that are pretty done with the normal sci-fi tropes, American tropes. I was not into American Horror Story originally. One of my friends was into that. It really irritates me because everybody thinks American sci-fi should be really violent, and I don't like violent stuff. By the way, if you watch me on here, I do a lot of stuff with video games. My favorite video game right now is ffxiv, and I also like SAO. I am going to be going back to that. Come October, I will be going back to I will be playing that off and on. I do not have a huge amount of time on my hands because I do work. I work for one of the best furniture companies in the world. It is also one of the largest, so I don't really have a lot of time. And right now we just lost like maybe 14 different. We just lost a couple of people, so my time got kind of destroyed. FYI, if you are going to judge me for the fact that I cannot be bothered to I cannot be bothered with that one. I'm a dork. My parents just raised me to be a freaking nerd, so I just don't understand why people get upset when nerds do not conform to the normal human culture of watching a sport. I cannot watch football. I'm really sorry. I've tried. I literally have tried to watch football at one time. My grandmother once told my mom that the best lesson she could ever teach me is to just let me watch Dune and just be done with it. And that was an old Dune movie. I cannot wait till 22nd. Wait, of October. It's sad that the European market got it before us. I am not a huge fan of that, but you know what? I had to tolerate Rurouni Kenshin coming out really late in the game in the United States on Netflix, mostly because of a bunch of cancel culture. You know what? I'm not going to call it cancel culture, because that's not what it is. It's just pretentious people who do not take into account that the creator Kenshin has gone into therapy for the last year and a half, well actually the last couple of years, and he has had horrendous amount of debt and issues because of what has happened. And he has to pay for it on his own, and being a mangaka does not pay you enough to pay for your therapist. And trust me, his poor therapist probably can't even afford half the stuff that he has to deal with. And FYI, people in communities who do not support Watsuki's rehabilitation, let me tell you, he's a lot happier than he has been in the last 20 years, and that is because he's no longer something that he has been happy about for years. So if you are going to be judging him, judge the fact that he has gone through enough of a hell to deal with people. And it is a hell that is not going to go away. Okay. Hey, it's the Joker of FF14. FYI, people, that's what I call him, because he sounds like Joker, not Mark Hamill's Joker. Although I think Mark Hamill's Joker is a lot creepier sounding. Just my, take on it. I hope these guys can find Ferdinand's, insanity, and learn how to kill off the little imps before they kill us. Yeah, I have to stand at the edge FYI, yes, this is a hard fight. Just your information, this is one of the harder fights I've had. And with a team like this, I am not sure. I think they actually know what they're doing. Because I think I've worked with them before. Damn it, and I died. Wait. They are doing a good job killing them off. Don't worry about it. So, yeah, this is pretty much, my information as of now. I'm going to turn this off now, so